it's hard to be honest, man. Honesty is not the greatest thing to be. It's not, it's just no one wants to hear, yeah.
I wanna ride.
Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
To this day, Grand Theft Auto is the only physical game I've ever broken on purpose. Okay, I didn't mean to break the disc. I should clarify. I was probably 10, 11 years old. I got mad at the game, I took it out of the PlayStation, and I just meant to drop it on the carpet, like, get this filth out of my hands, you know? But somehow, the plastic of the CD happened to land ever so perfectly on the fibers of the carpet, and just boom! It shattered. My little brother was sitting there, and he just said, "Oh no." Oh, I felt so bad. Instant regret. The memories. As big as it is now, Grand Theft Auto had humble beginnings, and it almost never existed. Initially known as Race and Chase and inspired by games like Elite and Pac-Man, GTA started as a sort of cops and robbers game before the team realized that it would be more fun to play as the robbers, and the concept began to take shape. DMA Design, now known as Rockstar North, began taking copious notes while watching their favorite action movies, getting wild ideas for their game, to which the programmers replied with, "Are you f***ing crazy?" DMA experimented with ideas like a pizza delivery game before realizing how silly that was, which is funny when you consider the pizza missions from Vice City and, more recently, GTA Online. The other issue the team faced was the constant threat of cancellation from the United States branch of BMG Interactive, the game's publisher, which of course is now known as Rockstar Games. I don't want to gloss over that fact because the entire landscape of video games, this shared art that we love so much, would look completely different if BMG had their way. But the boys in Dundee pressed on and got it made, which sounded like a chaotic process with writers, artists, and designers often not on the same sheet of music, so to speak. Alright, so I'm going to say some lovely things about the first Grand Theft Auto. I'm also going to say some not so lovely things, but no matter the words, I want you to remember that I have a ton of reverence and admiration for the game overall, because frankly, it's a miracle it was ever even released, and that's not to speak of this franchise literally becoming the most successful piece of media ever. I hold DMA in high esteem, and not only because they made Lemmings, but because they had a vision with Grand Theft Auto. They followed through with it, and it changed the world of entertainment forever, and that's a fact. In November of 1997, the world got to see it too.
Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
So, you know the fate of my poor PS1 copy of GTA, but in the 2 years leading up to that little incident, my brother and I used to play Grand Theft Auto all the time. I still remember my schoolmate Lyle telling me the ultimate cheat code in the cafeteria. I thought he was kidding, but nope. THESHIT, and it worked. It's such a vivid memory. So, yep, I was playing GTA in the late 90s, and I feel really lucky to have been able to see the series from the very start and with every game thereafter. But, have you played this game lately? We all have those fuzzy memories, right? CRT TVs, Little Caesars pizza, and cold, bubbling soda. Yes. Those are wonderful, but have you really tried to complete the first Grand Theft Auto in recent years? Well, let me tell you, I have, and now I remember why, all those years ago, I broke that old PS1 disc, even though I didn't want to, and I still apologize to my little brother. Anyway, after 30 hours of mostly hell, here is the hypertension review of the very first Grand Theft Auto. GTA is a top-down, arcade-style action game where you play as a low-level criminal, working for various crime bosses across multiple chapters in 3 different maps: Liberty City, San Andreas, and Vice City. Yep, if you didn't know, those areas were all established from the very beginning. Now, obviously the team didn't have the budget they have these days, so they did the best they could with reference photos, and suffice it to say, these are a lot different in GTA 1 than they would become in later games, obviously. However, 3 full cities with working trains, bridges, and causeways, it just shows how insanely ambitious DMA design was, and it's easy to forget that this was around the time that video games just started to break away from the more child-friendly 2D platformer-centric kids' toy that they were seen as. We have one man to credit with bringing in that rude, crude tude that early GTA games leaned heavily on.
I'm gonna kick your ass.
But I have to confess, I don't remember any other map than Liberty City. All my memories are tied up with this stage. So, you can pick from one of 8 characters. They don't have different abilities and only a slight change in character model, but it is cool to have this variety. The story in Grand Theft Auto is that there is no story. Not really. You work for a bunch of over-the-top creepolas, do what I tell ya or else types. And that's about it. There are a few bizarre cutscenes, though sadly they're so brief and rare. I love the look of these scenes. They look like a sort of nightmare version of the parody that DMA was trying to emphasize. The voice acting isn't going to win any awards, the animation isn't Pixar, but it has that low-budget garage band charm. It's wild to compare this to like GTA 4 or Max Payne 3, for instance. I mean, what a world away. So, Grand Theft Auto lives and dies by its gameplay and presentation, and this is where things start to waver. Yeah, so the graphics, as you've noticed, are not especially great. They weren't even that good in the 90s, frankly, and it really wasn't until Grand Theft Auto 4 where GTA became known as a graphical powerhouse. And it's worse on the PS1. The PS1 texture wobble, the blurrier textures, and frequent slowdown definitely don't feel as good as they once did, although it's still a really good port if you have the means. And in a weird twist, the slowdown actually makes the driving a bit more accessible. But I'll say, and you can accuse me of nostalgia bias, fine, guilty as charged. But I really like looking at this game. There's a bit of give and take. It looks like crap, but there's such a simple charm, and it reminds me of playing with Hot Wheels on those little racetrack rugs, you know what I mean? The character models are pretty abysmal, but I love the color palette of the game. Plenty of warm reds, oranges, with the poppy lime green cars and the bright aqua blue of the water. Explosions are bright and colorful, with a nice residual smoke cloud, and there are subtle little effects, like tire skids on asphalt or on grass, leaving behind little dirt strips, skid marks perhaps. Obviously, the game is old, and again, it didn't even look that good for the day, but these images are iconic to me. The other half of the presentation is the sound, which has always been one of Rockstar's strongest pillars in all of their games. Now, outside of the odd announcer guy, the brief cutscene dialogue, and the chatter of some pedestrians, there's not much in the way of voice work. The rest of the audio isn't amazing, but it is memorable, with the little gibberish chatter from your handlers, the constant police dispatch feed, and the cartoonish pop of the weapons. The music in GTA 1 isn't as big or as bombastic in later games, what with the licensed tracks and all, but man, a few of these songs are legitimate bangers. Composed by people like Colin Anderson and one of my musical heroes, Craig Connor, the composer of the Manhunt soundtrack, you get some great in-house music, like the song Joyride by the Shooters. It's catchy, memorable, and it'll kind of fire you up when you hear it while you're speeding on a highway, especially with that Love Sensation sample. Simple, perfect. You don't change radio stations in this game, but rather each car has a radio station programmed to it, which helps keep the sonic package feeling fresh and dynamic. Now, I have to admit, it's hard to beat licensed music, and I remember very well the phenomenon that was Vice City's soundtrack being sold in the stores, how awesome that was. And it is weird cruising around Vice City without Mr. Mister or Yes playing, but this was a small team with a limited budget, and they really did do the best that they could. So, alright, the graphics aren't top dollar, and the sound design, while decent, would get eclipsed by future GTAs, but you expect an outdated presentation on old games, obviously. By modern metrics, Super Mario Bros. Looks like a slapped ass, but the gameplay is still tight and accessible to just about anyone, and it'll be like that forever. The gameplay in Grand Theft Auto, by comparison, has aged terribly.
Special delivery, TNT!
Now, before tearing this game a new butt, let me just start with the positives. I do still love the sense of exploration in Grand Theft Auto, like finding this secret invisible bridge by the Golden Gate in San Andreas. There's nothing on the other end, but I looked it up and I guess there's a tank and a kill frenzy at some point, but I didn't even care. It was just cool to find this, you know? And some of the environments, like the Golden Gate Bridge, have a nice sense of scale and feel proper huge. And when you're not constantly smashing into everything, gliding down the road at top speed feels good. And when you hit the handbrake just right in a car chase, barely squeezing through traffic and leaving the cops in the dust, it's very satisfying. Then there are those quaint little details, like tossing this briefcase from a bridge at your criminal contact as he glides right under you in his boat at the precise moment. And there are a few great missions. My favorite, one that returns in the 3D universe as well, is where you drive a little RC car armed with explosives. You have to chase down an Infernus and detonate, and it's awesome. The little RC car flies under full-sized vehicles, letting you drive almost uninterrupted, and it feels so good. And then it ends with the guy that hired you saying, "Take that, Mom." It's the classic pitch black, absurdist DMA Rockstar humor, and it's wonderful. This is when Grand Theft Auto really shines, and I get just a little touch of that old magic from back when. But sadly, the rest of this experience is hampered by truly outdated game design and punishing inconvenience. Now, I have to be honest about the rest of my experience. This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you, game. The camera. God damn the camera. When you speed up, the camera zooms out. When you slow down, it zooms in. Considering that you are constantly colliding with objects, this nauseating effect happens all the time. I got somewhat used to it, but the issue is obvious. There is no map in this game. The original release came with physical maps, like posters for reference, but obviously this is very outdated compared with pause menu maps and mini-maps of modern GTA. See, this is really tricky because you see the arrow on screen, yes? Well, it's the straightest possible route, a beeline, but it doesn't consider changes in height, fences, water, or any other obstacles in the way, so it can be extremely frustrating when you're in a hurry, and you often will be, only to end up at the Hudson with nowhere to go, watching your timer tick on by. And here's the thing, you can use really cool interactive maps online. I pulled up one on my phone and it was amazing, especially as someone who played this game way before that kind of tech existed. It was a treat. But it's not some perfect solution. You have to figure out where you are in the game in relation to that map. Then you have to sort of follow along with the map, darting your eyes back and forth between screens. And if you get a mission where you have precious seconds to get from point to point, good luck fumbling with your map. And to anyone that says you should just study and learn the map, yeah, man, I'm gonna go to GTA U just to play a video game, especially considering that there's no pause button. Oh, there's a button that'll let you quit or continue, but it doesn't freeze the action. So, do you have an itchy eye, kids in the house that need your help, a phone call to take? Well, too bad, bucko, the timer's always counting. And because you can only see so far in front of your face, you're constantly smashing into everything all the time. And with that zoomy camera, you'll probably be crashing every few seconds. I will say, after a few dozen hours, I got pretty good at handbraking and sliding, but just ever so, and I was still cursing up a blue streak in the late game from time to time. There are multiple missions in each chapter taken from payphones. You see, kids, back in the day, we used to use public phones to call people on the go, and if it had grease residue from a Newport huffing bum cheek on it, well, too bad. But you could call in bomb threats without a trace, so there were advantages. Anyway, you also get a number of secret missions, and it is kind of fun to sit in a random car and suddenly get a mission passed along the old beeper. But god damn it, Liberty City is cruel. You'll do a mission, and before you can get up and get a glass of water, another mission will kick right off, and there's a strict timer before you fail. And again, no pause button. You're glued to the computer until the game finally releases you from its grasp. And this mission structure happens frequently. It's brutal and punishing, and quite frankly, inconsiderate. Like, let the player breathe or pause to poop or something. Now, if there were checkpoints or manual saves in GTA, this would be just fine, but there's not. And oh man, you could save in Fallout or Diablo, but not here. And oh buddy, So if you pass a mission, you get points and a multiplier. Multipliers, well, they multiply your points, and in order to pass chapters and move on, you have to hit certain point requirements, 1 million, 2 million, and so forth. So multipliers are a big help. You'll definitely want them. If you fail a mission, guess what? You don't get the multiplier, and you don't get to retry it, so you lose the opportunity to make those points forever, unless you restart the entire chapter again. Too bad for you, mister. Oh, it gets better too. Come on, listen here. If you get busted by the cops, which happens if a single one of their pixels touches your pixel, you lose all of your weapons and items, and you get your multiplier cut in half. It's brutal. You also have lives, tapping into the arcade routes. This was a terrible decision. If you die, you obviously lose a life. If you lose all of your lives, you lose. Start the chapter over. All those missions that you just completed, all the points you've racked up, gone. Can you sort of possibly see why someone, not me, but someone that looks like me, could have slammed their disc? Uh-huh. If you want to play the original Grand Theft Auto, you need to understand you're going to have to repeat missions many, many times. This game does not care about your convenience. It demands patience, repetition, and persistence. And I'm not gonna lie to you, if I wasn't doing this for the purpose of entertainment, I would have probably stopped shortly after entering San Andreas. Once you rack up enough points, you'll get a special red arrow, leading to a cutscene and the transition into a new level, in this case, on to San Andreas. And it starts with a bang, not in a good way. A strict time limit, vague navigation, and more of that oh-so-fun driving. Just watching that timer tick down as I smash into these giant steel bricks that completely stop and barely budge, tick, 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 tick.
Stop! 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 I can't get out! Oh my...
At least this was the first mission, so retrying the whole chapter wasn't too bad in this case. Oh, did I mention you have a single health point in this game? Yeah, 1. You can find armor crates. Oh yeah, crates. No shops in GTA 1, just crates with weapons, bribes, multipliers, get out of jail free keys, kill frenzies, and armor. And armor gets you a couple extra health points, but that's it. Then, one single bullet'll do ya. Oh, and I forgot the speed pickups because someone thought the cars simply didn't go fast enough in GTA 1. Oh, and there is no mission log either. If you get a task and don't read it quickly enough, or you forget the specifics of what you're doing, oh well, learn to read fast. But then, the text that crawls across the beeper is way too slow. So, yeah. My brain just went on holiday and I typed BLEH. I guess that's how I would say that. It is still fun just taking cars. As many sequels and imitators as there have been over the years, I still remember just how amazing it was to be able to just get into any car you wanted. Usually in games, you picked a car from a menu, or you used one in a specific segment or whatever, but here, just go get a Ferrari. Go get a church bus, go get a police cruiser or a van or a truck or whatever. And I really do appreciate that various vehicles have different speeds, weights, and braking capabilities. The sports cars stop on a dime, but try hitting the brakes on a limousine at full speed and watch it wail into a wall like a big purple dong. Yeah. There are 4 wanted levels, not the usual 6 that we would get later. And this game didn't introduce the feds or the army just yet, but make no mistake, the cops in this game might as well be goddamn Delta Force. They're ruthless, fast, and have no qualms about opening fire in a crowded city street. Now, from what I understand, this was actually a glitch in the early builds of Race and Chase, where the cops would ram your car like a maniac. The team saw the potential and kept it. But ultimately, this game is just hard. It's punishing in the truest sense. This mission here took me 6 tries. 6. And if you'll recall, it's not just this mission. I had to start the chapter over 6 times just to get to the mission, just to then fail it 5 more times because some random cop car will suddenly bump me, giving me an unexpected wanted level. It's just too much, man. Failing a bag toss mission because you didn't get out of your car despite being on the marker with a second left on the clock was, I don't know how I kept playing in retrospect. Now, you could argue that this is true open world design, where the random and unfortunate happen as they do in reality. Well, that's a great defense, except that this isn't reality, and it's actually just bad design to not have mission replays, but alright. San Andreas was a little more tolerable than Liberty City thanks to the simpler design of its map, and there were no unfinished bridges or anything like that to jump, but there are fences and elevated surfaces, so that comes with its own set of headaches. I don't mean to belabor the point, but it's so frustrating when you're in a hurry to get yourself stuck.
Stop! I got stuck on a
You'll get on a nice roll, and before you know it, stuck again.
Stuck! Stuck!
But it's not just getting caught on random obstacles and cars. Some of the mission design is just plain cryptic and bad. In Mandarin Mayhem, you're told to go take care of someone. Now, you've been taking care of people one way the entire game, so why would you assume it to be any different here? Well, it is. You're somehow supposed to know, with psychic powers I reckon, that you have to simply whack one of these guys and then unequip your weapon and then punch one of the other guys. You're supposed to just be aware of that, despite the lack of context given at the start of the mission. It's even more confusing that there's a machine gun pickup right next to these fellows. And once more I say, if there were checkpoints or mission restarts, it would be more bearable, but nope. Just eat ass and start the entire chapter over if you want this mission again, which I did. You know, you can call me many things, but you can never question my dedication to your amusement, handsome. But after the third time, I have a confession. I had to look up the solution to this mission. But of course, the mysterious cryptic stuff isn't enough. After getting chastised for my violence, you need to pick up a rocket launcher and blow up Chin's boat.
Boom! Vancouver!
Deep breath. It was kind of satisfying to get to Chapter 2 in San Andreas. I did this without cheat codes, and I was slightly proud, I guess. But it was not easy, dude, and my spirit was starting to fade. Like, hey, I got a job for you. Go to another payphone and do X, Y, and Z again. I just didn't want to. The only reward to chase was the personal satisfaction, to sort of check off an item on a gaming bucket list, I suppose, but there's no story revelation, no big weapon to unlock, no HP upgrades or new abilities or new cheat codes, nada. But I had to press on. I had to persist. But if I'm being completely honest, after earning over 3 million points in Chapter 2 of San Andreas, I was very much over the original Grand Theft Auto. But I had gotten weirdly decent at the game. Not good, mind you. Very, very few people in the world can call themselves good at this game. But after a few dozen hours, I wouldn't back down, like Tom Petty. We're off to Miami, baby. In Vice City, we work for Deaver, a crooked cop and a total asshole. He's a great villain, so to speak, and I kinda hope he makes some sort of an appearance in GTA 6, kinda. But his mean-spirited dialogue just rubbed me the wrong way because of, at the time, my overwhelming fatigue with the game. I needed an attaboy, and GTA doesn't care. So he tells you to get to the phones. But where are they? No arrows lead the way, not even the usual yellow one. I thought it was a glitch, so I looked it up. Nope, not a glitch. They just decided that you should only get an arrow when you get close enough now. As the game progresses, DMA takes your nuts to the anvil even harder. You know, this isn't a challenge. It's not a test of your abilities up to that point. It's just plain rude. Now, Vice City does have some classic Rockstar humor and some good missions, like delivering a doctor to a women's health clinic only to be attacked by armed pro-lifers, causing you to flee. That was mildly amusing, and it comes from a time when humor like that was still kind of actually edgy. But, and I hate to say this because I'm tired of complaining, the mission layout in Vice City is easily the worst of the 3 cities. The timed stuff in Liberty City was a drag, and there is some of that here too, but it's just how many steps to each mission in VC that kill me. Go get this van with my kids in it. Bring it back across town. I've seen the van. Yep, those are my kids. Now turn around and drive all the way back across town. Now that you've dropped the kids off, go steal this car. Bring it all the way back to Banana Grove. I look at it again. Yes, that's the car I told you to steal. Now drive it across the map again. And then pick up my boyfriend's daughter's car and then BOOM! Vancouver! I'm not exaggerating in the least. Those were actual steps to a single mission. And for the 500th time, I emphasize, no checkpoints, no restarts. Fail and you lose out on the points and the multiplier potential. Oh, and do your points, items, or lives from San Andreas carry over? What do you think? Do you want to see where my soul finally gave out? There's a mission where you have to trail this car. Oh, another cool thing about GTA 1 I should mention is the object permanence. You'll drive around for hours and pass by a burning wreck or a body that was there from forever ago. It's pretty ambitious technically and very cool. Until, that is, you need to follow a car and it gets stuck on that wreck. You have to nudge the flaming car out of the way so that the pathfinding kicks in again. And it's just so great when the car you're following gets stuck constantly. Oh joy. But here's the thing. My footage here is 21 minutes long. 21. And that's not counting the 15 minutes I did before I hit record. This is where I tipped, my dudes. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not doing another copycat angry YouTube gamer guy or whatever the fuck. I did at least 10 laps around this entire map. Circle after circle. Traffic jam after traffic jam. I eventually had to fail on purpose. I couldn't take it anymore. I have a full-time job and a home to clean and dogs and shit to do. I couldn't just stand here all goddamn day. But that's not what got me. What got me is that the next mission directly after it was another trailing mission. Another 30-minute trailing mission. No progress at all. You know, I finally looked these missions up because something wasn't right. So, from what I read, you're supposed to follow the car into a base where you fight some Rastas and steal their tanker truck. And then I realized I had passed by that base several times, but the car never entered. This game is just cursed. That's all there is to it. Now, thankfully, you don't have to complete missions to get enough points to pass. So I took about 100 cars to the docks, I did frenzy after frenzy, and eventually, after hours and hours of grinding, I finally had enough points to enter the final chapter of Grand Theft Auto. At this point, I was nearly in a fugue state. I played so much GTA that I was seeing the road grids in my dreams, and that's true. I didn't care about losing anymore, I just didn't want the game to win.
Why didn't you tell me it was Nika? Why? Man, women. Man, women.
I hear you're working behind my back. If that's true, I'm gonna f*** you like a crazy bitch.
Yeah, great start. After completing a tedious mission where you have to rig a car with explosives, you go to yet another payphone, and then you're told to drive to another payphone. The artificial lengthening continues. And then guess what? Guess what you do after that? Can you guess? That's right, another phone. Now, there are fun little surprises to find, like a self-destructing car, which was actually really clever and funny. I just stumbled upon this thing when I was looking for a ride, and it took me by surprise. But that's a sparkle on a mountain of dung. In Chapter 2, you can choose to work with the Rastas, which is kind of cool, and you'd think, hey, maybe I get some new mission types. Nope, you're basically just a hitman for the Rastas instead of Deaver. Oh yeah, combat. I almost forgot. Maybe I should forget. It's god awful. Actually shockingly bad. Your weapons all suck, and the range for each is abysmal. The pistol is essentially useless, and the machine gun is only halfway decent up close. The only fun I had was with the rocket launcher and the flamethrower, but those are rare. As I said earlier, you go down in a single shot. Armor helps, but you get wiped out so quickly. Well, at least the Rastas are friendlier than Deaver, and their disappointment is more brotherly. Alright, so after days of grinding, and I mean really grinding this game out like it was my job, I finally got to the final cutscene. I refused to watch it on YouTube. I didn't want to spoil the ending. I earned it, and here's my prize.
Hey, Rude Boy, got the idea that you got the job done and thing. I'm just saying well done on that. Serious cash in the briefcase, brother. So, I don't think I'll be seeing you for a long time.
At least I never have to play the original Grand Theft Auto ever again. Ah, fuck.
Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
Okay, I had to. I had to see how. Why? Why does this port exist? Well, for money, but my curiosity was insatiable. So I took the old Game Boy Color out of this box over here, right, and I plugged in Grand Theft Auto for the Game Boy Color. Holy moly, yes, this is real. Okay, before getting going, I should say that the fact that this port even exists is incredible. Getting a game of this size and all the features therein to work on an 8-bit handheld is really impressive, and I don't think the developers could have done any better of a job even if they tried. This is about as faithful a port as possible, for good and for ill. You select your character as before. Okay, cool. But if you rename the character of Kelly into Sumner, for whatever reason, you unlock even more characters. Now, none of them do anything differently, but I really have to applaud the developer, Tarantula Studios, for going through this kind of effort. I'll just play as Eraserhead Brady Bunch nanny lady here. And oh my god. Oh my dear sweet Jesus of Nazareth, look at this. Alright, so it's an 8-bit handheld console, and it's not actually as bad as I was expecting, but it's definitely not exactly easy on the eyes either. Fun fact, you can play this cartridge on a regular Game Boy too, so if you are especially masochistic, 8-bit GTA in monochrome awaits you, my man. It's the controls though, the bloody controls, man. You have to press A to run, and the upwards directional button just goes unused. Great. Now, to be fair, it was like that on the PS1 as well, so okay. But to take a car, you have to push Select and A, and that's at the same time, by the way, if it works. Because there are so few cars driving around, obviously to save memory, you'll have to go snatch one eventually, and when the buttons don't work, the car just speeds away, and you're standing there holding your lad. And the driving. Oh, the driving. There are 2 speeds, stop and mock Jesus. It's all or nothing. At least with less cars on the road, you can kinda glide nicely along, and the frame rate is buttery smooth. Piss. And they brought over lives, because why wouldn't you bring over lives? And they brought the same beeline arrow back, so have fun getting your pixels jammed into other pixels when trying to find your way. And you can't turn your car unless you gas it, so enjoy those tight little spaces. Ugh. The music is horrible. I expected stiff controls and rough graphics, I'll be honest. I had an old Game Boy back in the day, and the visuals are kind of nostalgic, frankly, and I didn't even have a Game Boy Color, so this was kind of nice. But the chiptunes are not outdated, they're just bad. Go listen to music from 6 Golden Coins, it's still masterfully done. This is just 8-bit garbage juice. Combat is, well, you can kind of call it that. The game, it's just pants. A pair of pants, in fact. Although, they actually ported over the speed mission where you have to keep the bus above 50 miles per hour. If you don't, the bomb blows, just like this game. Let's try. And you know something? I actually did it, and it was fun. I definitely went under 50 a bunch of times, but whatever, this was kind of charming. And vehicles will show damage too, which is cool. I hadn't mentioned earlier that the vehicles in the PC version don't smoke or catch fire like they would later in the series, but rather they make a big rattling noise in the engine to let you know they're about done. And here, the damage modeling gets that message across well. And yeah, they actually blow up too, which was kind of cute. Okay, let me try a mission. Hey, it's the same mission from the PC version where you blow up the LCPD with the tanker, okay? So the white screen is to indicate an explosion, but I didn't expect much more, and at least the mission is here. Here's the lawyer that you're supposed to chase, and just look at him go. Yeah. After finally getting him loose, which I had to do, I chased him down and instant death. Yep, this is it. This is officially my limit, fellas. You are looking at the end of my rope. I played Grand Theft Auto on the Game Boy Color for over 2 hours, and it broke my will like I broke my original PS1 disc. Full circle. Congrats, Nintendo. You win, like you always do, bitch. You know, after nearly 30 hours with my nuts to the sandpaper, I feel content. I raged, sure, and yes, perhaps a bit of apathy crept in, perhaps a bit more. But I didn't go to bed angry. Rather, I feel satisfied. Like I had a full meal and I don't need dessert. I'm good. I had to grit my teeth several times to get through Grand Theft Auto, cursing silently in the dark hours of the morning so as not to wake the house up, and I can safely say that I'll never play this game ever again, but I don't resent that. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that after 25 years of not playing this game, that I got to circle around and get the most I could out of it. I'm also grateful that I played this when it was new, when it's all we had. I got to touch the magic of this genre as it was being formed, and I got to see the series blossom from there. By the time GTA 4 came out, the series was off to college. By the time GTA 5 launched, it was getting its first big job. Look, I love corny sentimental stuff, indulge me. And now with GTA 6 on the horizon, it's as if the series is in its 30s, it has its own family, and it's coming back to visit for Thanksgiving. I got the rolls just coming out of the oven, the turkey smells good, and I'm ready to greet it with a warm embrace, because I remember what it was like when it was just a kid, committing felonies in the living room.
Gay!
You select your character as before. Okay.